News First, Newsline with Faraz Shaukdali.
Aibon, Wanakam, good morning and welcome to Newsline, live from the News First studios in Dawson Street in Colombo, where it is a wet morning. I hope all you people who are suffering from the extreme weather conditions are as safe as can be, and if there's anything that you think we can do, please contact News First. Joining me this morning is Bandula Jayasekara, complete with both shoes on. So is your foot all right now?
So far, so good.
Excellent, good.
But I didn't pay VAT.
You didn't pay VAT?
But I took your advice, yes.
Very good, excellent, excellent. And we are also joined by Mr. Mayadunne, the former Auditor General of Sri Lanka. And we're delighted to have you on our program after such a long time. Thank you for being here, Mr. Mayadunne. And straight in, we'd like to ask you, obviously the government is having a problem with its fiscal management. There seems to be lots of money that is outstanding, but they don't seem able to collect it. So in that context, the revelations that there are several Sri Lankans and Sri Lankan companies who appear to have funds outside the country. We had the offshore leaks in 2013, and we've just had, then thereafter we had the Swiss leaks and the HSBC leaks, and we have now the Panama Papers. What should whoever be doing about trying to have those people explain about the money, at least explanation, and then get the money back? Who should be doing what?
Since these funds should be owned by the country,
Right.
the country and the state mechanism which operates should interfere, come into the picture and do the needful.
And which of the state bodies should be doing that?
I should say all the compartments, legislature, executive, as well as judicial.
Right. So exactly who? Like the Inland Revenue, the
Exchange control or?
That those items, those institutions are coming under the executive.
Right.
They have right, obligation and duty to look into these things and do their level best. In addition to that, Auditor General also has a right, authority as well as opportunity to get the information and discharge his duty also by reporting to the Parliament over the actual position.
So, Mr. Madden, I hear what you say, but what on earth was the Auditor General, or where is the bite of the Auditor General? For several years, Sri Lankan Airlines has been accumulating loss after loss after loss. So every year, from what you say, I can infer that the Auditor General is writing a report and sending it to Parliament, and then that's it. Where's the rest of it? What do we do to get Parliament to...
I think the specific matter that you referred to,
Yeah.
actually the Sri Lankan Airlines
Yeah.
is a company,
Yeah.
and under the prevailing constitutional as well as statutory provisions,
Yeah.
Auditor General did not have the right to look at those things
Because it was...
a company.
It was constituted under the Companies Act.
Yes,
What about Mihin Lanka?
that is also
Same
a
thing.
company.
So this is, so then in that case we can then further infer that this was all a grand plan on the part of the government of the day, whenever it is that they set up Sri Lankan Airlines under the Companies Act, so that it will be kept away from the Auditor General.
Not only from the Auditor General, when you look at the standing orders, standing order 125 and 126, you can see they are also not entitled to summon them. Once actually under Honorable Fernando Hulde, the Sri Lankan Airlines was summoned. They appeared and they refused to get questioned by the committee, saying that You have no authority to do that. That our chairman of the committee admitted that, and they were released.
So let me get this right.
Yeah.
So Sri Lankan Airlines,
Yeah.
because it's constituted under the Companies Act,
Yeah.
sorry, because they're under the Companies Act, they don't have to, they're not accountable to the Auditor General, they're not accountable to Parliament, but every now and then, and with alarming frequency, they can write to the Treasury and ask them for some money, and so we have to pay. But we can't ask them. That's in simple terms, in a micro level, it's like me giving my housekeeper money to go and do the grocery shopping, and then the housekeeper telling me, well, I've spent the money, but I'm not telling you on what. That's what it is.
That was the situation, but if you look at the 19th amendment of our constitution,
Yeah.
even the companies coming under government, provincial councils and local authorities or corporations, then if the share capital of that exceeds 50% of the government share, the Auditor General is empowered to audit those things. That comes under the 19th amendment. Therefore, in future, Auditor General will not interfere if it is not
It's below 50.
yeah, if it is below 50 years, Auditor General will not get. But still, as you know, under our Article 153(4)(3), the Parliament has the right to delegate the authority to Auditor General to look at anything as they wish. Therefore, it is up to Parliament. If Parliament wants to get these things audited and get the reports to Parliament, the provision is there. It was prevailing right throughout.
But why
So-
aren't they doing it? Why aren't the Parliament doing it?
Because there are a bunch of clowns. But please, why don't you answer?
Yeah. Therefore, however, this sort of companies, government-owned companies, were not allowed to Auditor General to audit due to some reason. That reasons actually I can't explain.
You can't explain, but permit me to try and
That is-
explain it to the public. That is because all the money that has been siphoned out of the Treasury, your money, is not subject to audit. And we have it from a former Auditor General himself. So this is some great plan.
In addition to that, I have to say, to our understanding, when there's a trip to foreign country, some expenses were incurred by these government-owned companies. Those are not shown in the government account, as those are not subject to table in their reports at the Parliament and not audited by the Auditor General. Therefore, this is some sort
So
of
these
privilege
Yes.
that some politicians
Privilege.
that
Privilege.
politicians enjoy.
I beg your pardon. Privilege.
Yeah.
Privilege to rob the people of their money. That's what it is. Because what you're saying is that companies like Sri Lankan Airlines are not accountable to these people.
Yeah.
And so therefore, whenever these expenses come out, we will be treated to all the expenses of the Waldorf Astoria and this hotel and that hotel incurred by the President and ministers and so on. But further expenses that have gone through Sri Lankan Airlines, for example, are not accountable. How disgraceful is that?
But the same case for us with Mihin Air, which is a big disaster.
But they're all the same in that.
Yeah.
Um,
And they are very clearly required to be accountable to Parliament and through the Parliament to general public.
so what you're saying is there is a systemic failure.
I believe when the introduction of this new National Audit Act, the Auditor General will be empowered, if it is not curtailed, to look after these things and report to Parliament and through them to the through the Parliament to general public. I think these things need to be done in a transparent manner and accountability is very, very essential.
No, I want to ask one question. I was watching the news bulletin the day before yesterday and about this the Sapagaskanda refinery. I mean, that was very interesting, which I noticed that about this the expansion and refurbishment, and I was told by my sources that there's this one company is trying to get involved through different methods, but it should be open, and the country can save $350 million.
Yeah.
So my question, Mr. Mayadunne, is that there should be transparency in this type of this in the interest of the public. So can the Auditor General intervene if people make a complaint to the Auditor General in this type of this is a government owned, this is Sapagaskanda refinery?
Yeah. Actually, up to date, there's no statutory or constitutional provision to get the people's complaints or petitions or views by the Auditor General. There's no requirement like that. But with coming up with the new act, which is still under as a bill, going as a bill, provides for those things, and it is a must. The people have the right, and Auditor General will look into those things, though there may be a truth or not, but still Auditor General has the right to look at those public allegations.
Because it will be a saving for the country.
Definitely, yes.
On that note, we'll go for a short commercial break and we'll be right back. Do stay tuned to Newsline.
News First, Newsline with Faraz Shaukat Ali.
Good morning again and welcome back to Newsline. Mr. Mayadunne, I'm a bit troubled because obviously people hide their money abroad and they have reasons for doing that. And one of the reasons could well be that there is no consistency in policy here, which means that this hard-earned monies, if they're brought back here, could be unreasonably taxed, especially unreasonably taxed. And then you have a situation where the fluctuation of the exchange rates and so on and so forth, it plays havoc with your funds. And it's not reasonable, is it, for a few people to have to pay for the sins of the politicians? And it's one of the primary reasons that people keep their money away from a nation where there is no consistency in policy. I'm troubled. Is that a good mitigating answer to having your money outside and away from the taxman?
Not only in Sri Lanka but also in other countries, this black money is kept outside their countries.
And then on some of them also keep it locally. They may have safes and so on.
Yeah. However, that is people's money. That means when you look at the source of the revenue, most of the revenue is generated through indirect tax established or empowered in ours. Especially when you look at VAT or any other indirect taxes. General public, they pay that tax when they buy a small item, even like a small amount of dal or rice or a cloth. That's a tax portion. Therefore, each and everyone is paying and get accumulated. That is actually taken in a very ugly manner by some, mostly by some businessmen or by politicians. These things actually, without having a clear knowledge, I think I should not commit who are the culprits and all, but I think that is the wealth, that should be the wealth of the public.
Yes, but the significant amount of business people who are in business. They risk their money and to do business. They are creators of wealth and of opportunity. And so they take hopefully calculated risks and they make some profit. I don't think people will begrudge that profit, but people, I think, will begrudge the politicians trying to make money through the back door.
Now, whoever it is actually, if revenue is generated or income is generated by either by the politician or by a businessman, they are bound to pay a reasonable amount as taxes directly over the collections. Therefore, they though they want to develop their entities, they have an obligation to contribute toward the national growth development.
Of course they do. But the politicians,
the money is taken away as black money and kept somewhere. In one way, the national wealth is hidden somewhere else. In addition to that, the due portion of the government or general public is not paid.
Now the politicians are elected to serve the people, not to make money.
Exactly. They are not in the they have no business being in business.
That should be the position, but actually what is happening?
But what is happening, don't you think, is that these politicians are not getting people like the Exchange Control and the Inland Revenue Department and the Financial Monitoring Unit, also of the Central Bank, to look into these monies that are overseas, because obviously these politicians are also a beneficiary of those monies, because we have one instance which is going through the court system now, where 3 local businessmen subject to Sri Lankan taxes are fighting over $200 million of assets held in Gibraltar. I don't see any action on the part of the Exchange Control or the Financial Monitoring Unit or the Inland Revenue. The potential liability on $200 million, you will know how much of potential tax has been lost. This was exposed in 2012-13. Today we are in 2016, almost midway. Nothing has been done.
I think I should go back to what I said at the inception of our talk. That is that major responsibility is conferred on 3 compartments in our power of government. That is, one is legislature, that is parliament. The other one is the executive, that is the political layer plus the bureaucratic layer. The other portion is the judiciary. All these 3 compartments have the obligation to look after this. Parliament has to enact and give power to develop the framework. It is duty of the executive to see that the arms of their executive, like departments you named, are directed, are advised, monitored, supervised to achieve the targets in the best suitable manner. Then these things are brought to the notice of the judiciary. That is up to them to see the justice is given. In this particular case, as you mentioned, the names that you mentioned under government as government department or institutions, there are 2 matters. One is that they have already delegated some authority to execute. Are they doing that? That is one part. The other part, under Article 42(1), the Cabinet of Ministers are is the body which should be accountable to Parliament over their execution. Therefore, they have to develop and they have to give necessary instructions to these arms to get the best. If those things are not lying, Parliament has an overriding authority to get the accountability or demand the accountability from the executive to deliver the expected result. If those things are not happening, I think I have to blame not them but the people that they have elected. Why? If you look at Article 4A, 4B and 4.3, all these three arms, legislature, executive and judiciary, are enjoying and facilitating the people's sovereignty, as the people is the body having the full authority of sovereignty.
But if these people, these departments, did their jobs, the government would have more money, and therefore there would be less taxes, and therefore the people would be very happy indeed.
And then the Auditor General Department is at fault.
And so therefore the Auditor General Department
Auditor General's duty is to report over the accountability of the executive.
So do you have desks at different institutions?
But as you can understand, there should be a structure to deliver this service by the Auditor General. For that one, there should be a constitution and statutory structure facilitating Auditor General to deliver this thing. Not only that, but also he should be received the wanted resources. Manpower is very essential. Then the financial resources are essential. Technical know-how is very essential. For those things, actually, provisions were not sufficient there, as Auditor General was not provided with the necessary independence.
When you were Auditor General in 2002 to 4.
2000 to 2006 years.
2006. What did you do about these lack of resources?
We manage in the best suitable manner. But I also have to understand there are a lot of things that we were not capable to deliver, as our hands were very tight. I mean, unless we are provided with the necessary resources, don't expect to deliver the results in the most fruitful manner.
But if in this organization, if we had a section that was running up losses, our finance department would come down hot on them, because it won't be tolerated, because they are constantly monitoring. So why doesn't the Auditor General's department have desks at these different institutions for an ongoing process of accountability? Why wait for 1 year later?
There's no restrictions to delay these things, but we have to understand that best results can be obtained only by providing the necessary facilities. If you think that to deliver very good results without giving the constitutional and statutory facilities as well as other resources, I think it is not reasonable enough.
But Mr. Mayadunne, as we come to the end of our morning, one of my several files indicates that the Auditor General earns in excess of 500,000 rupees a month. I don't know if that is true, but I don't want you to comment on that. But what I'm trying to say is that at 500,000 plus rupees a month, I think the Auditor General is being paid handsomely to provide a service to the people, and they must be more proactive than they are being now. It's no good writing up reports a year later and saying Sri Lankan Airlines did this, that and the other, or whoever did whatever, or Sapugaskand or whatever. Shouldn't it be an ongoing process? You have a desk there so that you are able to constantly monitor and report.
I think I have to correct something. That means I don't know what sort of source that you have, but to my understanding, Auditor General's remuneration is less than a lakh, 1 lakh, and with all other allowances and all, it will not go beyond that amount, to my understanding. At my time, it was less than 40,000 most of my time. Finally only we were kept at salary around 50,000.
Right.
But when you see the government salary structure as well as the official salary structure, I feel that having a post like that should be respected with some financial capacity also. But I meant he should be remunerated to some extent.
But by the end of the day, the people...
but if he goes out, to my understanding, even the current Auditor General was paid at his former working place more than $500,000. But he, to my understanding, he left all those things and came to department to serve the department and the country at a very low salary.
Mr. Mayadunne, thank you very much for being on Newsline. We've run out of time.
Yeah.
Thank you for being on our program. Thank you, Bandula. Thank you for having watched Newsline. Take care during these extreme weather conditions and try and have a great day. Take care. God bless.